All right, I think I'm live because it was giving me a little small bump in the road, but I think I'm okay now. So, just a few things I wanted to go over. Let's see if I'm live. Yes, I'm finally live. Okay, period, point blank. Okay, let's go ahead and put these people on the thumbnail. And let me see. Ooh, flow like the river. Yeah. Don't like to fly like Zeus. I don't even know if that's what they really saying, but we gonna just go with that. So many conflicting reports around this whole situation with David and Celeste Rivas. It feels like TMZ is kind of really pushing this whole thing forward. TMZ is not gonna rest until an arrest is made. I do appreciate that though because I just feel like the case is just dragging on. It's been 2 months since this young lady was found, and you got to think about if that was your daughter, your niece, your cousin. How would you feel? Like, would you want this to be dragging on? And especially when she's found in his vehicle, and she was in his company, and she was an underage person dealing with him in some capacity. But there's a lot of conflicting reports around it. So we're going to touch on that today. Can you hit the like button while you're here? We're going to touch on that today. Let me make sure I put my device off so it won't be mirroring, echoing. But I don't know. It's just so many conflicting reports. Let me make sure y'all can see me and I can see myself. All right. Yep. So yes, it's crazy. Good evening. Good evening. Clicked so fast. Thank you for coming through. All right. So thank you for coming through, everybody. And it's just crazy to me because I just feel like, it should not take this long to make some sort of decision around this young lady. It shouldn't take this long to figure out like she was in a situation that she shouldn't have been in. By the time they discovered her in a car, they said she had been missing for a year, right? She had been missing for a year. How does one have a car in their name? How does one have a car in their name and a dead person is in the car and they're on tour somewhere, right? How is one allowed to continue to do their tour even though they have all of this going on back home? Why is this taking so long? And I'm going to be honest with you, I really hate to make this a race thing, but I'm like, oh, is it because she's of Hispanic descent? Like, what is happening here? Maybe if she was blonde with blue eyes and, maybe the more action would be taken around this young lady and what's happening to her, right? I know that we're in a time right now where, people from different ethnicities, who are over here, or, even Hispanic people are being targeted in some way. But I'm like, why is it more being done with this young lady? That's just like I saw a situation in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where a 13-year-old was missing, black girl. I think I saw 2 articles about it, at best, at most. It's like when you're black, when you're Hispanic, when you have other, when you're it's like the priority is just not there. It's just the priority is just truly just not there. So it's just crazy how it's taken so long to make some type of decision around it. So let's go ahead and get into hold on, I want to get into this. I just clicked off of it. But yeah, it's just crazy how and I know the last live stream we did, people were like saying they didn't believe that he didn't have anything to do with it. I don't believe that. But let's get into this. Hold on.
CBS, LA singer David is not an official suspect in the death of a young Inland Empire girl. However, detectives did tell us he is part of their investigation. Lake Elsinore teen Celeste Rivas was found dead in the trunk of a Tesla more than 2 months ago. The car was registered to David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. When Rivas' body was discovered, she had been missing for more than a year. TMZ says its sources say investigators are investigating her death as a possible homicide, with Burke as a possible suspect. But all of LAPD's chiefs of detectives told CBS LA that David has not been ruled out as a suspect yet. On its website, the LA Rivas' cause of death as deferred, meaning they have not defined the cause yet. We reached out to Burke's attorney and management team for comments. We have not heard back.
So basically, it's confusing because they're saying that David has not been ruled out as the suspect in the teen's death, but he hasn't been identified either, right? So he hasn't been identified as the person, but he hasn't been ruled out as the person. Like it's so confusing, right? It's just not there. Oh, hold on one second. It's just make sure the priority is just truly just not. So it's so confusing because it's like saying, well, he hasn't been identified as you will be on trial for this murder, but he hasn't been ruled out either, right? That is so confusing because what that news station did is, see, TMZ is reporting one thing, but that particular news station, which is in California, what they did is they reached out to the police detectives of the department, and basically they're saying, like, despite all the information that's out, that may not be necessarily true. Like it's very confusing. It's very confusing. So basically at this point, he has not been identified as the person, but he has not been ruled out yet. Right? So that means they can identify him later or they can let him go. But they're pretty much saying what we've been seeing all day on social media is not technically true. Basically, he has not been ruled, like he's not been pointed. David is the person. He's not been identified as the main person, but he has not been ruled out. In my opinion, in my mind, I feel like they have him in there some kind of way. All right. So give me the energy around David and Celeste. The police, TMZ is reporting one thing. The blogs run with it. And I believe what TMZ is doing is TMZ is getting like this backhand or this information from sources that they're connected to. You got to remember, TMZ is like literally like police officers, I'm not police officers, lawyers and paralegals and all this stuff, right? So TMZ is very much so connected to the legal community. So what TMZ is basically saying is this: we have a source that's telling us this is about to happen. Give me the energy around David. Are they truly about to identify him as the person? Give me the energy around David. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. And are they truly... Give me the energy around TMZ. So the King of Pentacles is here. When you see that King of Pentacles in reverse, that could represent somebody who was involved in something that could be considered dangerous, vicious, right? They have the card of still exploring, discovery. So vicious, discovery. So when you see that Page of Wands, that's like saying they're truly, when they say they're still looking into it, it still says, and he is not off the hook. That King of Pentacles, that when you ask about that specifically, that represents David. And again, that Page of Wands is a discovery, right? It talks about, trying to find information, ideas, get messages, and the Page of Wands even just says, that talks about news. So that means, and when you see the Page of Wands, that's 1 to 11 weeks. So this means that in 1 to 11 weeks, we may hear more about it. But the bottom line is when he's not off the hook for it. He's the King of Pentacles in reverse. And that means he is not off the hook for this situation with Celeste Rivas. He's not off the hook. And there will be more news to come about the situation. So I do believe TMZ, when they're saying they heard something that's bubbling up, I do believe it because, again, the page is all about being a messenger. But the page is also about getting some news. Right? So that's what it shows in the messages. I do feel like there's more to come on that situation with David and Celeste Rivas. There is more to come. They have the Wheel of Fortune, right? Negative outcome. So there's that Wheel of Fortune is here, and that represents some sort of negative outcome, something that's happening. Again, the Wheel of Fortune, now this Wheel of Fortune can represent delays, setbacks, things like that, right? Unexpected delays, unexpected setbacks, some level of uncertainty. So I can see why, they have the delays that they have. But eventually what this basically says is they're still very much so investigating, and he very much so is not off the hook for this. And I believe this is why TMZ is running with the story, even though the police is trying to downplay it, because TMZ has been told something that will eventually come to light, take shape, come into fruition, however you want to say it. This is what this represents here. So I would not be surprised either, at all. Give me a 1. I want to retouch y'all when we do the voting. Give me a 1 if you think he had something to do with it, and give me a 2 if you don't think that David had anything to do with it. Give me a 1 if you feel that David had something to do with Celeste being demise, and give me a 2 if you feel like he had absolutely nothing to do with it. And if you give a 2, like, put why you're giving a 2, because I would love to know, like, your idea around it. If you had knock on wood, if you had a female family member that was running with a guy, an older guy, and that female who was 14 years old, family member, just think of one of your little nieces, one of your little cousins was running with a 25-year-old guy, and she's been missing for a year, and they discover her in the 25-year-old guy's car. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what do why do we need to keep going in a circle for 2 months? Like, what are we doing here, right? In the messages from the last time and even for this time, he's not out the loop with it. Things can change. I do understand that, but he doesn't feel out the loop with it. I keep telling, I hope younger people do watch these videos. I know my videos are not made for younger people, but let me say this to younger women. When you get with an older guy like that and you're underage, he's not taking that relationship seriously. He wants to have sex with you. That's what it's all about. He wants to control you and have sex with you. If you're underage, don't be in La La Land to think that this older guy is gonna marry you and take you away and save you from your family. Because once he gets caught with an underage person, he is going to be in legal trouble. Their relationship will be over with and separated. If you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, you don't have no relationship with this person. Let me say this again. You don't have a relationship with this person. Don't be confused. Don't be delusional. I don't care what this person is telling you, because the person has no business being with you anyway. If the person is an adult, 21 and older, that person has no business even being with you. And if the relationship is discovered and you return back home, guess what? There's going to be a problem, especially if your parents take a position with it, right? There's no future in that situation. To me, I was talking to my 17-year-old about it today. And, and it's important that we have these conversations with our kids because, if I don't want to get caught with this underage girl, what am I going to do? I got to figure out how to get rid of this person, figure out how to get from under this situation. So I just hope that a lot of young girls understand and know this is why we're seeing so many young girls being killed by these men that they're dealing with, these older men, because they don't want the relationship to be discovered. They want to hide it. They want to be with you in secret. And then if you start talking too much or doing too much, or relationships about to be exposed, then you could become a liability in their life. And next thing you know, this is why you're seeing so many young girls coming up missing, or the guy that they were dealing with did something to them. They got pregnant and they wanted to dispose of the person. There's no future in a relationship with a boy or a man that is older than you to that degree. I'm telling you right now, there's absolutely no future in it. None whatsoever. This person would have to literally marry you, and they would have to have consent from parents. So please don't be fooled by anything that somebody much older than you say. You shouldn't be. If you can't bring this person, if your family can't know about this person, it's not the relationship for you. All right. So that's on David and Celeste. I do feel like there is more to come in the next 1 to 11 weeks. And I do feel like TMZ did get some type of information that did lead them on that path to say this is coming forth, especially with that page energy. That is something there. And David is not off the hook. He is not off the hook. Give me the energy around. How does David feel about this news and everything that's being said? We already talked a lot about Celeste's family. He has the moon card. That represents fear, right? That represents fear. That could represent he's not sleeping. That could represent he feels like he has anxiety. That means they're trying to figure out what they're going to say about this. You know, if you start going into court, right? Or they start asking questions, how do you know Celeste? Where did you meet Celeste? How did you communicate with Celeste? Did you communicate with her by phone? Did you do it by, Snapchat? Right? Questions are going to start to be asked. When they start questioning David, they need to start questioning David so they could discover, like, the secrets, because the moon card represents the secrets, right? So if they start, why not talk to him so we can start discovering his actual affiliation with her? We've seen him on camera with her, but how long have you known her? Was she at your house? How long was she at your house? Were you ever intimate with her? Like, what was happening with her? So I could see him being afraid. I could see him being having anxiety. I could see, and I can also see him not telling the whole truth. Right? The moon card, and this could represent him not even telling the whole truth about what's happening. So even if they ask him, he may not be have full disclosure over the situation with this, right? But at the end of the day, that's just like, we're going to talk about this in a minute. The Milagro Grams trial with Meg the Stallion. She finally admitted that she got $3,000 from Tory's dad, but she disguised it as, she said it was for her children's birthday, right? So, when you go to court, these things spill out, these things spill out. So we need these things, we need David to be officially questioned so that we can determine and know, how long were you with Celeste? How did you meet Celeste? Was she ever at your home? Did you give her shelter? Were you intimate with her? What did she tell you about her life? So we can understand more about what was the connection. But when you do that, that's going to open up a whole nother can of beans, right? Because you're with a minor, sheltering a minor, associating with a minor, entertaining a minor, and you're an adult. So that's going to be a whole nother problem. So that's what we have here in the messages for David and Celeste. All right, he needs to be scared. Period. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, Paradise. What's up, Halos? All right, anybody else? What else do I got? So, I think that's what we have for them. That's it. I was literally about to use the same cards that got my other video struck. So these cards here, be careful with these cards. This is I don't even remember what this brand is. So if you're doing tarot, this particular cards here with this on the back, and they look like this in the front on the main. Be careful with these cards, because these cards here, they have a few cards that are provocative, and I had grabbed them just a little bit just to start, and then I realized these are the same cards. I'm gonna put these up, but these cards got my video with Blueface and Krishan struck as a age restricted video. So even though they're cards, they still have, like, you got to be careful with some of the designs on it, because some of the on some of these cards, they're kind of provocative, and they definitely got my video struck as a age restricted video, and that means I may get monetized for it or I may not. It's in the yellow. So when it's in yellow, that means you're going to have limited advertisements. So be careful with the cards that you're using for your readings, because they'll strike your video like you're showing porno. I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, we're gonna get to Smokey Robinson in a little bit. Let's talk about Meg Thee Stallion, Milagro, and Tory. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get this. This is not gonna be long because we're gonna get to that. So today in court, it was discovered that Milagro Grams testified. Well, what was shocking to me is that Milagro. First, let's start with this first. Milagro and again, I'm not here to beat Milagro up. Milagro admits she's not positive Tory Lanez is innocent. Let me repeat that. Breaking news. This is from Hot 97 on Twitter. 6 hours ago, Milagro admits she's not positive Tory Lanez is innocent in the Meg the Stallion shooting. Do y'all have any feelings or thoughts around that? Like, she went to court and said this. She said that she's not sure. She's been advocating for him, right? Windmilling for him for 5 years now. She's in court behind Tory Lanez and her advocating for him. And now she went in court and said she's not even sure he's even innocent. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? I mean, I was like, wait, what? What is Milagro saying? Like, Milagro, you're in court for advocating for Tory Lanez. You're fighting for your life for Tory Lanez. You are in court with Meg Stallion, federal court, behind Tory Lanez. And you just went to court today and said you don't even know if he's innocent? She's late. Welcome to the club. I doubt his innocence from the jump. But he then cut up and got up. But I'm just saying, like, anybody else have any thoughts around this before I say something? I was gagging. I was literally gagging when I read this. She actually said this. I'm like, Milagro, so give me the energy around why would Milagro go into court and she's been 5 years strong advocating for Lane. She's in court behind this man. Give me the energy around why would she go in court and say this? I'm like, what? I was so confused. So that Page of Swords here. That Page of Swords, the Queen of Swords, that could be kind of like, I could see her being worried about what's going on, even though she has a cool exterior. But I can also say, you know what? I was overly invested. I overreacted to the situation, right? I did go too far. If you look on the card, it talks about overly emotional, malicious, cold-hearted, right? It's on the actual card, on these particular cards. So it's almost like saying some people get so wound up into situations where they just go with it. And I did read a snippet of that article where they talked about how she came from a background where a lot of people faced injustice, right? I believe that's true because I had a client, and I haven't talked to her in a while. I remember her saying the same thing that Milagro said, that the reason why she fights for black men. So, because sometimes when you be looking at some people, you be like, why are y'all fighting for somebody that's abusing women, shooting women, beating women, fighting women? Why are y'all advocating for them? Because a lot of times in certain communities, they always see that black men are being mistreated. So sometimes they stand up for black men in ways that they maybe always shouldn't, but that's because they came from that area where they would see a lot of injustices towards black people, right? They would see injustices towards the black people. And so what happens is now they question everything that happens in and around it, right? So if, you're from an area where you always, like we just saw the police officer intentionally bump into those black players. That's the stuff I'm talking about, right? Those black college players are coming out the tunnel. That white officer intentionally went and bumped them and was trying to create a situation. And then LeBron James said, hey, this police officer needs to be suspended because he went out his way to do something bad to these guys, right? Y'all saw that, right? That's what I'm talking about, where we, in certain communities, we see injustices happening to black men. So in that article, Milagro was saying that where she comes from, she would see so much injustice happening to people in the community. This is why she was standing up for Tory Lanez. But she went too far with it, right? In my opinion too, I feel like she went too far with it. But this is what it talks about in her messages, right? Now it's almost like saying, now she's in court. Now it's like saying, I want to you know, rethink what I've done, take control of what I said. She's backtracking because she even was in that article. She was saying they were saying she was in court saying stuff like, you know, I know Megan was hurt. I know Megan was affected. I understand her pain. And you didn't understand her pain for 5 years, Milagro. I'm sorry. You didn't understand her pain for 5 years. I don't follow. I wasn't following it like closely. I was loosely following it, but at no point have you ever said you understood Meg Thee Stallion's pain. Like at no point. So I feel like this change of tune may be to soften the way she looks, right? Chariot to change course, right? To go in a different direction, right? You know, maybe it's to change the, you know, change the scope of how you're coming across. Um, you know, with that King of Wands, your lawyers, your lawyers, you guys, you know, let's rethink how we're, you know, let's rethink how this comes. Let's think big picture. Let's talk about, because to me that's like saying you're using your social economic background to paint a picture of why you did what you did with Tory Lanez, right? That's what you're doing. Because you, the King of Queen of Swords, it does show you were being malicious and cold-hearted and overly emotional and making certain decisions. But now you're changing course. Was a part of her changing course the fact that Tory Lanez went in court and did what he did? That he didn't stand up for her, he didn't speak up for her, he basically could harm her. Was that a part of that? Was him doing that a part of it? Well, or are they always going to change course? When you see the double card, that's like saying in reverse, that's like saying they were always trying to put distance between it, to detach, to break free, right? So I feel like what Tory did maybe was a small part of it, but when you look at when you ask that question directly, that's like saying we were always going to try to spin this around, detach from this, make it, soften this up. The goal is to soften your person up. The goal is to make them look like, you know what, I was, you know what, I saw a story. That's like sometimes even with Trump, I get so peed off with stuff that he do. I start getting on my Instagram, that motherfucker, blah, 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 you know, but you still have to be able to have some self-control. Hello, hello, hello. But this is what it talks about. So she did say when we did a reading on Milagro before everything went to trial, we talked some months ago about this. Did Tori's dad really send money? And we said yes. Today she confirmed in court that she did get $3,000, but she's saying that $3,000 was for her children's birthday. Why would Tory Lanez dad send Milagro special money for her kids out of everybody? I don't know. You can come send my 17-year-old a Christmas gift, Sunstar Peterson, since you're being so generous. You know, but when you look at that message, as we mentioned Sunstar's name, with Milagro's name, they were communicating about Tory and the case and what was going on. This represents to communicate, right? Resources being used. I do feel that, you know, I do feel that it wasn't just about her birthday. You know, like why you had her phone number in the first place, why you got a cash out information, what's going on here. So there is an element of to communicate in some way. So it does feel like they were communicating, you know, in some way. Like I said, I want to be a dead horse. And Victoria's dad is just being a dad. You know, I'm trying to help my son. I wonder if they're gonna pull him into it, because that king of this emperor could represent him also being, having to be represented or representing some way. I wonder if he's gonna be because he's the one that made the payments, so he should answer to why he made the payments, right? But it does come up, so I wouldn't be surprised if they question him in some way. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the next person. So we did, okay, David and Celeste, and now we did Milagro, Tory, and then Meg Thee Stallion. I just feel like, you know, the case is up in the air for me, and we talked about this the other day. We'll see. I feel like Milagro can have some wins and then maybe a loss. I did see Armando talk about it for a minute. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he did say he didn't feel that Meg's team was paying enough for the picture of her being bullied or harassed. I mean, it's still day 3. They could, you know, they can very well bring it in maybe tomorrow before it ends. But he didn't feel like they were painting up enough of a picture about her being harassed. But we'll see. I talked about that the other day. Meg Thee Stallion is walking around like she's, you know, she got the card of temperance. Like the angels are on her side, right? Like she feel like she got a good, legal team, and that's what she got in her messages. All right. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. The Two of Pentacles. That kind of came up the last time. It's giving me like a, you know, that Two of Pentacles to me, action being taken, changes happening, something can fluctuate, right? It could represent, you know, it's giving me up and down. All right. So anyway. That is on Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez and a lot of programs. Alright, so Smokey Robinson. Smokey, sit your old ass down trying to be a lover boy. Let me say this. I remember when Smokey Robinson did his last album, everything on that album was basically sexually charged. You know, all the titles were all sexually charged. You know, come to you and you know, and like all the like Smokey Robinson was like, I think it even made the blogs where he had done an album and everything on it, all the titles were like sexual. And it was like, what is going on with Smokey Robinson? Now we see him in bullshit. Okay. Now is he being did it? Okay, we don't know. We're gonna ask, is there any truth to any of this stuff? Or are they just railroading man? Right? But I mean, I remember when he did that album, he had a lot of sexually charged, you know, titles on there. I was like, man, kind of old for that child. Is it even working? You know, like, I mean, you know, these men, once they get to like 50, child, you know, but I'm like, is it even working for you to just be talking like this? You know, let's see. I mean, he was just, the world needs to know. I think that's what. Let me see. I think he had some titles on there that was real provocative. But anyway, we're gonna ask, is any of this true? Like, I remember seeing Smokey Robinson. I'm like, baby, what is going on? Give me the energy around Smokey Robinson, the legend. You saw a video of him twirling his hip replacements. Give me the energy around Smokey Robinson, legendary singer, writer, producer. Give me the energy around these allegations around Smokey Robinson. What type of person? Is he a pervert or weirdo? Is he doing anything inappropriate? Or are they just making this up on this poor man? I do feel like he was doing a little perverse stuff. He is the double card here, so I do feel like he was doing some little stuff, and it looks like a couple of the people he was doing stuff with, he didn't fell out with them. So in this King of Wands in reverse and that Queen of Wands in reverse, that could represent a falling out with somebody or somebody he was entertaining. But that double card could represent an addiction, a sexuality. It could represent somebody who's into little kinky stuff. And he does have his messages. He knew about this before he hit the blogs or before he hit the media. He's the King of Wands in reverse, so he very much so knew about it. He just wasn't willing to pay. And there is one woman who led this all, right? So she's here, her Queen of Wands, and it represents leading this. She wants the money, baby. She wants the money, 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 money. This represents economical energy, right? Talks about, she wanted money. She wanted money and he wouldn't settle, so she didn't took it to this level. He knows these people. He knows these people have been associated, work with him, affiliated with him in some way. He also has the Ten of Wands as well with these people. And this talks about like some of these people, they got a couple of people that he may have had some like little weird stuff going on with, but then they got other people that's just jumping on the bandwagon, similar to the Diddy trial, right? Where you have people that's just like, okay, well, let's try to get some money out of this situation. Ten of Wands, that can represent treachery, duplicity, people laying a plan, trying to get the man money. But it does show in his messages for him that these are people that he associated with, was affiliated with, and everything, right? This is what it talks about. I don't feel he's going to be willing to like just settle. Like he's going to let this like ride to trial. This is what it talks about. And he's got that King of Pentacles. That means he's going to try to hold on to his money. But it does show his messages. They may have had like a person or two or three that he was connecting with. And he does have the double card, which means as he was doing his... You know what? You got to watch people. Even at the age, they be trying to fill you up, touch your booty, doing all kind of stuff, child. You know what I'm saying? Being too flirty, too close. Making, old people too, they don't have no filter. Look at Trump. He just be saying anything. They get to a certain age and then they just, anything coming out their mouth, they just think they could do whatever, say whatever. But he does have in his messages, y'all see these two here, he does have in his messages, there's some truth to some of what's being said. Now I would have to get each specific case like I did Diddy's case. Remember how I broke Diddy's case down where I got, this case, that case, that case? I'd have to get each specific case to break it down to see which one is true or which one is not true. But for right now, it is saying there's some truth to what's being said, right? There's some truth to what's being said. And at this point, because so many people are jumping on the bandwagon, I can see him not just easily settling, right? I can see him not easily settling. But he feels like he knew about these cases before they hit the media. There is a man that actually came out on Smokey Robinson today. The man is claiming, let me go find that article so I can get it right. I think it was on TMZ. Hold on, let me see. We're turn this heat off. Now, was it on the Neighborhood Talk? Let me see. Was it on a Neighborhood Talk or was it on... Because I saw something about a man had accused him. Hold on. Male worker claims Smokey Robinson tried to force him to touch Smokey's erect cucumber. Also said the singer grabbed him while half naked. Let's see. Let's get to it. Neighbors, and this is from the Neighborhood Talk. A male accuser has now stepped forward, claiming Smokey Robinson took his hand and tried to force him onto his erect penis. This comes on top of the 4 Jane Does. They got 4 Jane Does who already sued Smokey Robinson and his wife, Frances Gladney Robinson, earlier this year, all claiming that they were harassed while working for the couple. Now, 2 more alleged victims want to join the case, including a new John Doe and another Jane Doe. That'll make it a total of 6 people that are now claiming this. According to the new legal documents obtained by TMZ, the male accuser says he worked for the Robinsons at their Chatsworth home starting in 2013. He claims he would clean their cars early in the morning, and on several occasions, Smokey would come outside wearing only underwear. God, I cannot even imagine it. He would only be in his underwear, allegedly touching and fondling himself in full view. He says Smokey made sexual or suggestive gestures, comments, and even tried to lure him into a nearby room. Come on, young man. Come with me. Now this is what is good. Now this is that is good. I love it when we're stooling together. Okay. The man says he repeatedly shut down the alleged advances by telling Smokey to put on some clothes. But things allegedly escalated around 2022. So you worked from him from 2013 to 2022, and it finally escalated in 2022? He claims Smokey grabbed his hand without his consent, and tried to force him onto his genitals. After that incident, he said Smokey fired him. A year later, he returned to work at the request of Smokey White. So wait, from 2013 to 2022, and then he did this again, and then you came back? What? So at Smokey's wife request, he came back and claims the same behavior started back up. He says he repeated the harassment, indecent exposure, and unwanted touching caused humiliation, emotional distress, and fear for his safety. He eventually quit after hearing other employees had similar experiences. The new Jane Doe joining the lawsuit claims she also worked at the house as a housekeeper and says Smokey allegedly grabbed her hand over 10 times, trying to force him to touch her as well. TMZ reports they've reached out to Smokey's camp and attorneys for a statement. Nobody has responded. This is a lot. Thoughts? All right. Damn, old Smokey, what you doing over there? Jam. Give me the energy around this man and Smokey Robinson. So let me get this straight. So I started working in 2013. And 13 to 22 is how long? How many years is that? So from 2013 to 2022, I sat there for 9 years and dealt with alleged sexual harassment. And then I quit, and then I come back and deal with it again. So you just didn't have enough of it. You just decided to come back and just have some more harassment. Like, this is why so many people, I don't know what's going on with people, but give me energy around this male employee. Was he, in fact, sexually harassed by Smokey Robinson? Almost a decade. I do feel like Mr. Smokey Robinson was being inappropriate at times. I do. I really do. I really feel like he was being inappropriate. But I also feel like this man is basically just joining the bandwagon, right? It's kind of like you've seen somebody be inappropriate, talk inappropriate, act recklessly, and you just overlooked it. This is what it talks about. But it does show in the messages here that the man is showing. First of all, I do believe that Smokey Robinson was being inappropriate at times and doing some strange things, right? I do feel like that. He's got the food card here, and that food card can represent, being reckless, careless, eccentric, that's what it talks about. I do feel like the man may have seen some things, and, maybe he did see Smokey, at times, acting inappropriately is here as well. I do feel like the wife shows up as complicit, so she may show up as complicit. And these Hollywood people, they be in third party situations, child. In third party situations. There'll be some of these cases where Smokey may have to pay out some of these people. And then some of these people the case is gonna get thrown out, right? What this man is giving me up and down in reverse, right? That 10 of Pentacles is here. 2 of Pentacles is in reverse. That could represent, like, I don't feel like I feel like the man may have seen some things, been exposed to some things, told some things. But he's giving me, what's the man that sued Diddy because, the man who sued Diddy because he didn't get his music? That he didn't, like, what, Rodney, what's his name? He kind of like Rodney to me. Where he kind of jumping on the bandwagon because others are saying it, right? And just like he said, I quit after others said they had the same experience. Why you didn't quit 10 years ago? Why you came back again, right? So to me, it's like saying you would see little things, right? And then you still was there. And it's not until you saw the people suing that you jumped on the bandwagon. So for him, he's looking for a come up, a quick coin. But it does show in his messages he may have not been as affected as others, right? 2 of Pentacles in reverse. So I'll be eager to see. But I do feel that there's some truth to, like, as a person that worked on the estate, he may have seen some strange things. I can see that. I can see that. And I can see Smokey Robinson wife being complicit in that. Some of these people begin in open relationship, third party situations, letting people do what they want to do. But you think for as a woman, I'm not gonna sit here and work for nobody for 10 years doing bullshit. I don't care how much. You ain't paying me enough for that. You're not paying me enough to make me feel uncomfortable. You're not paying me enough to deal with sexual harassment. You're not paying me enough to say that I know Smokey Robinson. You're not paying me enough to that. Then I worked that 10 years, go through all of this, and then come back. Like make that make sense. And then you didn't officially quit until somebody said they also had similar experiences. So it wasn't enough for you on your own. You had to wait till you heard other people, you know, decide to speak up to where you spoke up. It's just like people when you see stuff like that, this is why I like the credibility be shot. So I would love to see it. I would love to see it. So okay, so I think that's it. We have done all the people on our list today. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to talk about? I think that's pretty much what's going on out there in the world. There's not a whole lot more. Is there anything? Some people do a strange thing for change, but I'm always in that you can leave camp, period. I used to work for this company, and I had a manager. He would flirt with all the girls, and he was so touchy-feely. He would try to like walk up behind you. He would always make me feel uncomfortable. I left. There was nothing that I needed to stay for. I reported it and I left. He had been sleeping with basically all the girls there. Only girl that he probably didn't sleep with was me. But that didn't stop him from, always trying to like lean on you, bump into you, come behind you. You think I'm gonna sit there and work for you for 10 years and let you do this and then leave and then come back? Like, make that make sense. I don't know what's in some of these people's heads or why they do what they do, but there's nothing that can make me be in no situation like that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so is there anybody else y'all wanted to mention before we go? Is 8:42 here, Central Time? Anybody else y'all want to talk about before we go? That's all I had today. There was not a lot going on out there. I did see Portia Williams getting into some mess at the airport with some person. That wasn't enough for me to do a reading on it. I don't think that's really going to go anywhere. It's probably going to be dismissed. All of that stuff. I did see another girl from the Housewives franchise. I believe she was getting arrested for taking somebody's furniture. She and some guy rented I guess a house, a furnished home, and they rented a furnished home, and then she took all the people's furniture out the furnished home, right? So this is not your furniture. You moved there into a furnished apartment and took these people's furniture. So she got arrested for that. I don't feel like she's going to be in jail a long time for that. It'll probably be in and out of there and then fight it in court. So that's what I feel about that. And then somebody says, do Nicki Minaj and Trump. We talked about Nicki Minaj and Trump the other day. Let me say this about that, though. I could pull a card or two, but let me say this about Nicki Minaj and Trump. I think she spoke very eloquently at the conference about Nigerians and Christians and stuff like that. But I would have to do more research to have an opinion about that. I just would have to do more. I think all lives are valuable. And we don't know enough about what's happening in Nigeria to make an informed decision. They had some Nigerian people thanking her. They had some Nigerian people feeling like she wasn't informed enough. I think that I don't know enough about it. And I don't know if Nikki's working towards trying to get that permanent residency. I don't know if she's working to get Kenneth Petty a pardon. Maybe she's trying to get her brother a pardon. I don't know what she's doing. But what I do know is it's just strange that she's taking this route. And we talked about eventually that she was gonna start to burn some bridges where, even though you're Nicki Minaj, at some point you're gonna start to burn bridges where it's gonna be hard for you to come back. So I can see where she gonna be like Trump, popularity at a 30%er. You know, if you keep going. What's up, T Gary? Popularity at a 30% if you keep going, right? But I just don't have enough information to make that decision. Will Nicki Minaj continue to work with Trump and his team and the Republicans? And will she continue to be connected and associated and affiliated with these people? I think it's a bad thing and a bad look for her, but I don't want to control, you know, she's going to defend it and it will come with backlash. But and this talks about she's going to experience conflict, loss, tension, you know, betrayal. People are going to feel like she's betraying people. People are going to feel like, you know what, you being a puppet. The musician in reverse is like saying you're being a puppet. You're being manipulated, right? You're being used. But I don't want to tell people who they can and cannot, you know, I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to dictate how people should feel about politics. You know, that's up to her. That's going to be on her. But I do feel like she needs to be careful. And I do feel like it's, you know, they got people trying to shoot these people. Like, they got people breaking into these people's homes. They got people, this man, Charlie Kirk, just got killed. You know, they had an assassination on Trump twice, 3 times. Why would you even be associated with these people? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you know, but again, I don't want to tell people who you know, what they should and should not be talking about. I don't think it's a good thing because I feel like they only use the community to, you know, they only use them when you need them. I bet you in the closed doors, just like they talking about at the airport would be better. The you know, the airports would do better if people would stop wearing pajamas in the airport. Who do you think they're talking about when they say shit like that? You think they're talking about white people? They're talking about black people. These people are making racist comments every day, and you're over here in the corner with them, right? Oh, they taking the SNAP money to go get their hair done. They making racist comments, Archie Bunker shit, and you're dealing with them. You got a president of the United States on the plane calling a woman Miss Piggy, and you have struggled with your weight off and on through these years, and you aligning yourself with somebody out here calling women names, telling women to shut up, right? You sitting here with somebody using SNAP, hunger to leverage what he wants in the country. You got somebody with a popularity rate of 30%. But again, I don't know enough about the thing with Nigeria to make an informed decision. I just don't. I just don't. I'm not gonna align. I'm personally not gonna align myself with somebody who is divisive. I'm just not gonna align myself with somebody who's a naturally divisive person. I'm not gonna align myself with somebody who he and his homeboys and cronies, they're in the backdrop talking about black people. I'm not doing it. I think it's a terrible decision. Nothing evolving that man is good. Period. I mean, his own Republicans are starting to back away from him. His popularity rating is at a 36%, fell, dropping, right? Yeah, some, like the lady say, some gas prices are down in a few places, but other than that, this world is in chaos. Talking about the world is safe. Girl, let me say this to you, Miss Nicki Minaj. Let me go pull up Kenneth Petty's mug shots. He got about 15 of them. You want to talk about safety? You basically married him a notorious, uh, uh, vicious person. He got 15 mug shots. Your husband, your brother in jail for doing bullshit. You sit here talking about the world needs to be safer? Girl, bye. All right, Blueface. Let me see. Blackface AI is insane. It's a beep. Is the beep the smoke detector? I don't know. No, the beep is my heater because I'm turning it off and on. That's why you see me reaching down. I get cold, I get hot, I get cold, I get hot. I'm anemic. I'm very anemic. So I get cold a lot. I even like got a electric blanket because I be cold. I be cold. I be cold. I know I need to take these vitamins like the people tell me to take them. I hate taking them, but I am very anemic. I can't even give blood. I can't even give blood. Okay. All right, y'all. But I don't know enough about Nigeria to make an informed decision about what Nicki Minaj is saying. Do I think it's a good look? No. Do I think it will hurt her? Yes. Uh, I mean, she's grown. She's grown. Like they're like I can't tell what to do. I'm just like people be hypocritical. You out here married to a man that got 15 mug shots, was literally in jail for manslaughter, and you talking about safety and murder and all these things. Your brother, what did he do? We're not gonna bring that up, right? But you over here acting holier than thou, girl. Bye. Sit down. You know. But I can see her continuing her alignment with these people, but it's gonna be her detriment. I think she should hush, but we'll see where she falls. She better look at Drake. Drake people love Drake. Drake. Look at Drake now, barely making it. It might take her some time, but eventually, she gonna always have her fans. But at the end of the day, I don't agree with what she's doing, but I mean that's on her. I ain't gotta do it. I ain't never lining myself with no wolves jail. It's not happening. Married to a monster, can't even go to birthday parties. Address on the sex offenders list, but she's speaking at the summit chill. Girl, make that make sense. Oh, she'll be out here on some stuff, chill. Ooh. Baby, my husband on the sex registry got 15 mug shots, was in jail for manslaughter, and allegedly RAP somebody, somebody, and I'm over here talking at the summit? Child, bye. All right, anyway, I'm out of here. I'm not against Nicki Minaj, but I don't know what the hell she be doing, child. Like, she just be sitting, and like I said, maybe, she sees stuff going in the world, and she becomes disillusioned, and she feel that this is happening and that is happening, and this, like Kenny's being, like there's injustice happening to Kenny. Like, she really feels that they be after Kenny unfairly. Kenny has made his life. He's almost 50 years old. He's made the choices. Okay, he had the incident with the lady. Okay, that's one thing. But why he got 15 mug shots, my girl? He made 14 more bad decisions. Like, come on, be for real. Rumors her husband's been cheating on her, whole offender. Girl, she can have that little offender. She gonna fight tooth and nail behind him, girl. He ain't worth a quarter to me. He could never be in my house. Okay, I might not live in a mansion, but this nice. Baby, you could never be in my house. You could never be in the car. You could never drive a car. I wouldn't give you a penny. Okay? You got me messed up. All right, so just imagine you over here with a man been in jail 15 times. He been in jail for murder. RAPE, girl. Like, you got this man in your house. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Get the sage. Shit, the cross. Shit. Like, what? Get the holy water. Get something. Throw the whole man away. How you be in love with that kind of man, girl? Ooh. Hey, who y'all talking about? Oh, we was talking about Nicki Minaj and her husband Chill. All right, anyway. Oh, I saw Cardi B did a little posting of her and the baby and stuff on Dig. So, had a little boy, and they were in the hospital together. So, congratulations to them on their new baby. Baby looked brown skin, like a little brown skin baby. So, yeah. Well, I hope to see the baby soon. Had a little boy. Now, Offset gonna try to pretend he didn't write that statement. Offset, stop the games and the lies. Because you went and got into it with 2-time finesse and wrote in that same way with that same font. So all of a sudden, it ain't you. Shut your ass up. You did it. Now you worried about Thanksgiving with your kids. Now you worrying about Thanksgiving with your kids. Come on, make it make sense, right? Leave that lady alone. Let her be in her life with her new baby and her man. Their baby was born November 4th. I had no idea. It was so quiet. Yeah, that's because, she hides the pregnancy. She hides the pregnancy for so long. And then, yeah, he always hack. Yeah, he always hack when he do something dumb on the internet. You know what? Like somebody said, Offset want us to believe him and not our eyes. He's so used to gaslighting women and lying to women. He want us to believe him and not our eyes. We seen this with our own eyes. Then he got into it with two-time finesse and was writing in the same black, same white, same font, same style. So that wasn't you either. Now you deactivating the account because you're getting threatened not to see your kids for the holiday. Now you didn't have to come to Jesus and woke up and you didn't do it. Right? Boy, bye. Get out of here. That guy two times finesse is quite comical, y'all. Y'all ever watched him? Two times finesse is funny. Two times finesse is so funny. I was watching him talking about, I guess he was talking about Cardi, and he was talking about Stephon Diggs. And he was like, what's that man name? He was talking about Javonte Davis. What's his name? Javonte Davis? Yeah, Javonte Davis. The women like Javonte Davis. Then he said, what's the other man name? The man who be sleeping with all the women, taking out all the women from the men. The man that got Cardi B. Yeah, he handsome. He is so hilarious. Two times finesse needs a reality show. He is funny, y'all. He funny. His mama funny. They need a show for real. That is a funny little group of people right there. I never really followed him until he had but I see him off and on, but he is comical. He is comical. He's always in shit. All right, y'all. So it's almost 9:00 here. Y'all take care. Stay blessed, encouraged, and empowered. And I'm out. If y'all have any questions, let me know. Put it in the chat with your feedback about these readings. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget you can book with me at BlueNolaTarot.com. BlueNolaTarot.com. I'm gonna be limiting some of the spots with the readings. Yeah, you can still book if you want to at BlueNolaTarot.com. Y'all take care, stay blessed, encourage, and empower. I'm out of here. Yeah, don't forget again to like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. All right, peace. Y'all have a good night.